Uh, go with the flow with this. Go with the flow with this.
Hi everyone, my name's Rory Logan and I run Find the Light mental health group in the northeast of England. For as long as I can remember, I've suffered with my mental health. Ever since I was in single digits, I guess, I always felt that something was wrong. I grew up, I had plenty of friends, all that kind of thing, good home life. I was an athlete. By any measure, in my youth and my formative years, I was an athlete. I played for county basketball teams, I skated a lot, and really skating doesn't sound like terribly athletic. But if you think about it, you're doing lunges and squat jumps and things like that, so by any measure, I was an athlete. I moved out of home when I was about 21 and moved to university. And due to poor budget, I had a very poor diet. And realistically, I don't know how much difference the budget would have made. I probably would have still had a poor diet. When I'm left to my own devices, self-control goes out the window. I ate mostly pasta and bread. So as I can imagine, over the course of my uni career, I put a lot of weight on. I arrived at uni 16 stone and left at about 19 stone. I then joined a company. I was a travelling consultant, living in hotels, going trains everywhere. So as you can imagine, also living out of restaurants, room service, garages, train stations, what have you, you put weight on. Again, joined that company 19 stone and left at 22 stone. During my first business trip with them, it was luckily to Las Vegas, which was great. Long haul flight, 13 and a half hours, and at 22 stone, I apologise for the noise, it's very windy around here. At 22 stone, that's a very uncomfortable thing to do, a long haul flight. I got there, and during my second day, I had a DVT and got taken into hospital. Again, anybody can have a DVT as far as I'm aware, but I have to imagine that my size played a big role in that. There were 300 some odd people. I didn't speak to them all afterwards, but I have to imagine not all of them had a DVT. It was me, it was my size. When I got back home to the UK, I lost a lot of weight. My mother's a Slimming World consultant, or she was at the time, so I just did Slimming World. I didn't go to Froops and get weighed, but I followed the plan. It wasn't until years later when I was doing weightlifting, I was taking part in some weightlifting, I realised what I'd been doing the whole time was a cutting diet. It's just chicken and spinach for every meal, and I realised, again with my context now, that was cutting. I lost 4 stone in 4 months, which was incredible. And although the physical benefits were there and present, clear to anybody, the psychological benefits were great. When I was 19, I made an attempt on my life, and I've suffered with my mental health in a severe way since that point. I mean, like I said, I've always kind of struggled, but that was a big turning point for me. When I lost all of this weight, a lot of things changed. There are a lot of benefits, proven scientific benefits to exercise in the short term. Your adrenaline spikes, your serotonin spikes. There are lots of actual benefits that mean if you're completely killing yourself in the gym, or even if you just go there and get a good buzz on and you spike, you can't think. You can't think. I always suffer with intrusive thoughts. That's always been my thing, intrusive thoughts. And for the time that I'm there, I can't think. I had a rough time recently. A good friend of mine, George, another PT, he invited me around to his gym and he busted me for a good 40 minutes. And for about the 40 minutes that I was there, and about the 90 minutes afterwards, I wasn't ill. I mean, I clearly was ill, but I didn't feel ill. I felt normal, I felt happy and elated. And I have to imagine the increased serotonin had something to do with that. Anyway, I digress. The benefits for me, I'm trying to be as honest as I can with this. I don't know if they outweighed the physical, but the psychological benefits I think were at least as important as the physical benefits in terms of exercise. I had increased energy, which was tremendous. It makes it easy to deal with the day. Depression, as the name suggests, it depresses you. It makes people tired. It makes people sluggish, lethargic, what have you. I had a lot more energy. I mean, you take 56 pounds off of anything, it's going to move faster, which is great. I had much better self-esteem. When you put on weight, I think it's typical for people to kind of convince themselves of a certain thing. They convince themselves that, oh, I look fine, it's not that big a deal, but I put on 6 stone in 6 years, so it was so gradual that it was kind of imperceptible to me. And then I take a lot of photos now to compare, and I took one of the biggest ones and one of the smallest ones, and you'll see the difference. Like I said, better self-esteem. But the biggest thing it did for me was the control. When I started getting into exercise, I always knew that there was an optimal way to do it. It wasn't just going in and doing something. If you wanted to optimize something, there were ways of doing that. If you wanted to optimize your weight, you'd find the specific calorie density to be able to do that. Protein, what have you, exercise, this many sets at this many reps for this many weight, and so on and so forth. So I started finding plans, and I think I had a bad knee injury, so I started doing mainly upper body work. Bench press was a big favourite of mine, so I started doing lots of bench press. I looked up, Googled how to add 10 kilos to my bench press and found a program. Now, once my calories were in line and I had this program, all I had to do was tick the boxes. Do this many sets, at this many reps, at this much weight, on this day, tick. Eat this many calories, tick. And after a while I started improving, and now, even if it isn't 10 kilos, it's, let's say 8 kilos or 9 kilos or even 5 kilos, 5 kilos is an improvement. It's an improvement. And that was a big thing for me. When I started getting into it, really, I realised that once I took control back, I was in control again. It sounds very simple to say, once you take control, you're in control, but it's a massive thing. With depression and certain mental illnesses, you want to have as little responsibility as possible. You don't open your post, you don't shower, you don't go out, you don't see people, you turn up to work late, something like that, whatever it is, your responsibility slipped. And I took control back, and it had such a profound effect in my life. I'll always be honest about as much as I can be honest about. I'm not overstating it by saying it genuinely changed my life for the better. Now, it wasn't just the fitness that it contributed towards, or my size or what have you. It taught me so much. Through that kind of thing, I realised I could plan and achieve anything within the realm of reality. I'm now completely debt-free, again, into a lot of debt because I lacked responsibility due to my mental illness. I'm completely debt-free, saving a lot for a house. I got promotions at work. I've got a very, very good job. I started Find the Light. I started another group. All of this, I think, has stemmed from that one way of doing it. And when I'm ill, or I'm in that kind of zone, I find the best medication for me is progress. It sounds very Tony Robbins and very, corporate noir and a little bit hippie to say so, but it's absolutely true. I used to keep a journal of all the things I wanted to achieve. Let's say, becoming debt-free, I'd write down all of my debts. That's one list. I'd break each of those down into sub-things and sub-things more. So then eventually this one thing of becoming debt-free, which may completely seem insurmountable, became just a series of tick boxes. And then when I was in those zones where I felt ill, I would just tick them and tick them and tick them. So it's great, but the only thing I had to do was take control, and that's the big thing, taking that first step, whether it's picking up a weight or going into a gym or calling a PT. I had a PT from the US who would Skype with me and we would talk. It genuinely changed my life. It really, really did. And it gave me the power to now understand what I need to do and realise that you can't build success on excuses. And if you don't change, you remain the same. There's so many different t-shirt slogans you could throw at it, but I'm not cured by any stretch, but on this little fitness journey of mine, everything I've done in terms of that has been growth. I've had very little detriment. Even the few injuries I've had, the benefits far outweigh that. So thank you so much for listening to my little story. I encourage everyone to get out there, go for a walk, go for a run, whatever it is, call a PT, go to the gym, sign up, what have you. Don't do it on Monday, do it today. Monday is an eternity away. There'll always be a next Monday, but there's only one now. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Go with the flow with this. Go with the flow with this.